My grandson in the middle of the movie like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She a woman. Oh, I didn't come in for this. I just came to watch the goddamn movie. Hey man, watch the movie. So it's like, I'm scared to go to the movies now. Like y'all throwing me in the middle of I don't have an answer for.
We're standing at ground zero of Hollywood's biggest meltdown in years. A live wire feud that's become so much bigger than just Will Smith and Snoop Dogg's egos colliding. Snoop, riding the aftershocks of his headline-grabbing Disney comments, has torched the fragile truce in Tinseltown by flat-out refusing to take part in a Disney-backed late-night sketch. Behind the scenes, insiders say Will Smith completely lost it. Sources describe him calling Snoop a coward, allegedly furious that Snoop wouldn't help clean up Disney's battered image and Will's own. Every camera in LA might as well be rolling because this is the kind of crack in the facade that the old Hollywood system can't patch up with another family-friendly press release. It's not just a star versus a star. What we're watching is the collapse of the celebrity pecking order as the rules change and we're all left guessing who's really running the show.
It threw me for a loop. These are kids that we have to show that at this age, like
that part.
They're going to ask questions.
Yeah.
They are going to ask. I don't have the answer.
What'd you tell them?
Watch the movie. Eat this popcorn.
Disney's playbook, long built on loyalty and silence, looks more outdated than ever as this feud leaks into the daylight. For decades, the unwritten law in Hollywood has been, keep the big bosses happy, keep the scripts clean, and the red carpet will keep rolling. But with Snoop Dogg calling out what he sees as corporate agenda and Will Smith fighting for his own survival, it's clear there's a power struggle erupting that no PR department can fix. Just ask the staffers whispering about the so-called red list inside Disney headquarters, a secret blacklist, according to 3 industry veterans, said to include every A-lister or rebel who won't toe the line. Snoop, with his recent off-script commentary, and Will, desperate to prove his loyalty, are allegedly right at the top. Is Disney really marking stars for cancellation, or is it just the paranoia talking? We've seen careers vanish for less. The stakes are all too real for both men. Snoop's public refusal to play ball wasn't just an act of protest, it was a deliberate snub with real consequences. Some say it's the ultimate test of loyalty. If you won't do the sketch, you might as well be packing your bags. But the question that's keeping every studio exec up at night is this: was Will Smith's explosion just wounded pride, or a panicked attempt to stay off that dread list himself? He's been clinging to a fragile comeback ever since his disastrous slap at the Oscars, and every misstep, every rumor feels like it could be the one that shoves him out of the inner circle for good. Will's attacks are starting to look less like genuine outrage and more like a last-ditch audition for corporate approval in a system that's quick to eat its own.
It was my man, this is probably irreparable.
It's no longer just about on-screen drama. As Snoop's move sends shockwaves through Disney's upper floors, there's talk swirling from agents and former staffers about a shadow war inside the industry. One source who once managed studio talent claims that Disney's loyalty tests have gotten more intense. From last-minute script rewrites to pressure-packed guest appearances designed to see which stars will stand up and which will cave. When Snoop bailed, was he failing the test, or was he finally refusing to play a game he never believed in? The stakes aren't theoretical. Word is, more than a few agents are suddenly scrambling, worried about whose client is next to get red-listed. We're left asking, who will blink first? Disney, with its crumbling family image, or the A-listers who've kept its brand golden for so long? But it gets darker. Just beneath the surface, rumors have started to metastasize into something much more dangerous than simple cancellation. The hottest insider talk isn't about who's starring in the next blockbuster. It's about the existence of an encrypted drive allegedly packed with damning footage from secret parties, linking both Will Smith and Snoop Dogg to scenes they'd do anything to bury. A former road manager, who claims to have seen the edges of the so-called Will and Snoop Blackmail files, says the content is so volatile it could detonate both men's careers overnight. No one can confirm exactly what's inside: party footage, private conversations, maybe worse. But everyone agrees on one thing: the possibility of a leak is what's got the industry sweating.
Well, they can't drop him like it's hot. Snoop Dogg is speaking out about LGBTQ content in kids' movies.
Why would this even surface now? Some say Snoop's sudden Disney rebellion wasn't about principles at all, but about behind-the-scenes threats to release this file if he didn't cooperate. Others insist Will Smith has been working overtime, burning up his phone with calls to fixers, lawyers, and anyone who can make sure the secrets never go public. For those paying attention, it's impossible to ignore how both men have shifted their behavior. Snoop, once the ultimate cool uncle of hip-hop, is on a spiritual, family-friendly reinvention tour, and Will, normally the king of polished denials, is snapping at reporters and friends alike. If you're wondering why every tabloid desk in LA is suddenly obsessed with password-protected drives and private Telegram channels, this is it. the ultimate insurance policy for two careers on the edge of meltdown. There's a particular tension that comes with secrets this big. We've seen stars fall from grace before, but the stakes in this feud are on another level. If even half the whispers about this Blackmail driver are true, what we're witnessing isn't just a messy celebrity spat. It's the last gasp of a system where the right kind of dirt can end empires. The label hasn't commented, the lawyers are stonewalling, and not a single major studio player will go on record. And we have to ask, what would anyone do, faced with losing everything, over one forgotten drive, one leak, one late-night message to the wrong inbox? As the Snoop and Will war escalates, one password may be all that stands between Hollywood's oldest guard and total, irreversible chaos.
Babies call you.
Papa Snoop. The part I love is that they all start off the same way. Like, they start off crying and kind of like distant from me. I gotta earn their trust and their love.
Will they all become a part of the business, the empire?
We're in the business of love and showing how to be parents, grandparents, and, you know, not that we perfect or that we don't make mistakes, but just giving an example of what it's supposed to look like.
As the feud rages, the pressure behind the scenes has exploded into a full-scale cleanup campaign, one that would make even the most jaded Hollywood fixer nervous. We're talking about a frantic, almost militarized response from Disney's most expensive crisis teams, all working overtime to erase any connection between Will Smith and Diddy's notorious freak-off circuit. These weren't your average hush-hush affairs. Court filings in the Diddy cases describe elaborate multi-day gatherings with a cast list that reads like a Grammy after-party, but with no cameras allowed and apparently no limits. Now, as Diddy faces court cases and horrifying headlines, Will Smith has been at the center of a digital disappearing act. Tech insiders from Burbank whisper that search engines have been quietly indexing party guest lists, and more than one tabloid reporter has received late-night calls warning them to stay away from old event archives. When we hear that hush money is moving through cryptic shell companies and that burner accounts are sending veiled threats to anyone holding old footage, it's clear we're not dealing with basic PR spin anymore. This is corporate survival, plain and simple.
Yeah. But Snoop lying is the progression of Snoop Dogg. He's the growth into the maturity and has a third eye, and he's able to speak on issues that Snoop Dogg couldn't speak on.
The cover-up has its own anatomy. According to a former social media manager who worked for one of Disney's biggest late-night properties, the scramble is all about erasing every trace of Will Smith in proximity to Diddy's guest lists. Suddenly, clips of Will and Diddy at past galas vanish from public platforms. Old photos get flagged and removed under claims of copyright. One UK gossip editor tells us her entire inbox was wiped of any correspondence mentioning both men within hours of posting a piece on the rumored men-only parties. Even Will Smith's personal denials, bizarrely specific in recent interviews, "I ain't been anywhere near no freak-off. I do enough of my own stuff, don't be putting me in other people's stuff," have fueled more suspicion than comfort. The harder the studios push to bury the story, the more the public wonders what they're actually hiding. That's only half the intrigue. Snoop Dogg, who once seemed untouchable in his blend of pop culture ubiquity and sly detachment, has undergone a metamorphosis that's left many in LA baffled. Within a year, he's publicly distanced himself from hip-hop's rougher edges, announced he's Bob Marley reincarnated, and rebranded as Snoop Lion, a move that coincided suspiciously with rising tension around Diddy's inner circle and the ever-growing scrutiny on hip-hop's party culture. We have to wonder, is Snoop's reggae pivot a genuine spiritual awakening, or is it a calculated escape hatch as the waters around him started to rise? He told the press, "It's a spirit thing. It's the way I live, not by a book or by what someone tells you, by the way you live. That's your religion, because it's your life, and it tells exactly who you are and what's gonna happen when you're gone." But behind those words, we see a man moving fast, away from old associates, away from controversy, maybe away from the kind of leverage that can ruin even the biggest brand.
Better myself every day and try to grow to be a better musician, a better person, and just be, you know, more in control of the power that I have, because I realize that a lot of people follow me.
Insiders in the LA music scene say Snoop's transformation kicked into overdrive as more allegations stacked up against Diddy, with industry figures quietly warning anyone who'd ever attended a Diddy event to lawyer up and clear your socials. Suddenly, Snoop was producing family-friendly tracks with his daughter, singing about peace, and making the talk show rounds as the reformed dad figure. Is the kind of about-face that sets off alarm bells for anyone following the Diddy scandal timeline, especially with stories swirling about Diddy's elaborate party rituals, VIP guest rules, and a blacklist of who got invited, then ghosted. We don't want to see no more innocent bloodshed, Snoop sings on his new single, but what isn't said is how much pressure is on every celebrity now to prove their hands are clean. Was Snoop's rebirth timed perfectly to duck the next round of subpoenas, or is it just coincidence? In a business where timing is everything, we're not convinced anyone moves that fast by accident.
It's not that I want to become Snoop Dogg on a reggae track. I want to bury Snoop Dogg and become Snoop Lion.
Meanwhile, Will Smith's strategy has been pure counterattack. The denials have gotten louder and more specific, but the pattern has only fueled speculation. He's gone from ignoring the rumors entirely to taking pointed swings at social media, pleading with people to stop all the memes, and in a move many see as panic, declaring in public, "I don't have anything to do with Puffy, so y'all can stop all the memes. Stop all of that nonsense." The harder Will tries to distance himself, the more the digital bloodhounds dig. A decade-old video clip, a blurry selfie at a Diddy after-party, a grainy interview from a late-night Thai talk show with Jaden Smith. Every artifact gets dragged into the spotlight, and every denial reads as a little more desperate. The label hasn't commented, the lawyers have clammed up. But for everyone on the outside, the sheer force of the cleanup is the story.
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me
Oh my goodness.
if you could film me.
Astaire, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with foolishness.
As the investigation expands and the parties involved double down on denials and rebrands, a chilling question hangs over LLA. If even giants like Will Smith and Snoop Dogg are caught in this web, who's left untouched? Is Disney's whole entertainment empire teetering on secrets that are just one leak away from total meltdown? We see corporate panic on a scale rarely witnessed, and we see stars who built their careers on relatability now running from shadows they can't seem to shake. Behind every closed studio door, execs are whispering about what happens if the next drive leaks, the next disgruntled employee uploads the wrong folder, or the next judge refuses to seal the records. The more the cleanup crews sweep, the more footprints they leave behind, and the more the public wonders who will finally break the silence. There's another layer to this unraveling drama that too few outsiders see, the unspoken psychological gauntlet that Hollywood elites call the loyalty test. These are the moments that never make the tabloids, yet everyone in the business knows them by heart. Invites to surprise charity galas at the last second, fake leaks engineered to test who'll keep their mouth shut, or even humiliating on-air stunts that measure just how far a star is willing to go to stay in favor. For every dazzling smile on the red carpet, there's an off-camera dare or whispered challenge. Nobody climbs to the top without being watched, prodded, and pushed to their limits. We've heard from former handlers and publicists that the biggest A-listers are forced to play along, even when the game is cruel. If you decline, you're difficult. If you slip up, you're trouble. If you stand out, you'd better have your story straight. As the stakes have risen, these loyalty tests have grown ever more elaborate. Industry consultants recount elaborate table reads where scripts are swapped at the 11th hour, with the sole purpose of exposing who can improvise under pressure and who stumbles. Behind the scenes, powerful producers monitor social feeds for signs of dissent or second guessing, and those who fail to like, repost, or parrot the approved talking points are marked for a conversation, or worse, a quiet blacklisting. Some publicists call it the velvet squeeze, that suffocating sense that even your smallest gesture is being analyzed by the same people who sign your checks. A veteran agent in Century City puts it simply, survive one test and another's already on its way.
I just felt like, it was time to say something to, take the party and put it on pause and speak to some real issues.
We see the psychological toll most clearly in the fallout. Will Smith's recent emotional volatility, his sudden willingness to call out friends and rivals alike, may not be just damage control, but the strain of relentless scrutiny. Snoop Dogg's sudden reggae rebirth and tightly scripted interviews look less like spontaneous reinvention and more like a calculated pass through a final round of gatekeeping. Nobody wants to be the next outcast, so everyone plays along for as long as they can stomach it. The real cost isn't just a lost contract or a missed premiere. It's the slow erosion of trust, the paranoia that settles in every green room and private screening, and the constant second-guessing of who's really loyal and who's playing both sides. The fallout is brutal, and it doesn't always happen in public. When a loyalty test goes sideways, friendships that lasted decades dissolve overnight, and alliances forged in million-dollar deals unravel before the ink is dry. Studio execs have been known to leak half-truths to the press just to see which insider leaks it back. More than one rising star has found themselves frozen out not by scandal, but by a whispered consensus that they couldn't be trusted when it mattered. In this high-stakes climate, everyone is both a player and a pawn, and even the most beloved faces are never more than one test away from a headline they can't control.
This felt right. I was in the middle of a gangster-ass record when I decided to do this. Really? Yeah, deep.
It's this hidden psychological battleground that gives the current Hollywood chaos its unique, almost dystopian edge. Beneath the glitz and branding lies a world of constant evaluation, ritualized humiliation, and manufactured crisis. Engineered not just to keep the talent compliant, but to remind everyone how quickly the machinery can turn. With every passing scandal, the walls close in a little tighter, and the only thing anyone can count on is that another test is always just around the corner, waiting to see who will crack next.
He's uncancelable. We all know that. I have to say, I'd never heard of this movie, and I have little kids. It was called Lightyear from 2022. I have absolutely no problem with the content. Like, he has a problem with the content in that movie. I have no problem at all. I thought that was presented as a brief history part of this movie. It wasn't a big part of the movie, and couples exist, and gay marriage is legal, and I found it all completely unproblematic. That said,
it's impossible to ignore the bigger picture. The collapse of Hollywood's old guard isn't just about individual scandals. We're watching an entire industry scramble to rewrite the rules as fast as its secrets spill out. Every week, another untouchable name slides closer to the edge, and the public appetite for the truth only grows. How much longer can Disney keep the floodgates closed? What happens when the next name on the red list decides to go rogue? Or when a single encrypted drive ends up in the wrong hands? We're watching the dominoes wobble, and every click, every leaked message, every nervy interview is another tremor through the system. So here's the question we're all left with. Do you believe the cover-up, or do you buy the denials? Are Snoop and Will victims of the same old smear machine, or is this the moment Hollywood's biggest secrets finally burst into the open? Tell us what you think in the comments. Whose side are you on? And what do you believe is really going on behind those velvet ropes? Stay tuned, because in this town, nobody stays clean forever. Until next time, keep your passwords close and your popcorn closer.